Oh, hello there. Welcome back to the library garden, or the library bathtub, that is. Jeremy and I were just enjoying a little reading time in the most comfortable place in the library. But now that you're here, let's get down to business. It might seem odd since it's so wet outside, but today we're going to focus on making sure your plants get enough water. Your indoor plants, that is. Today I'm excited to share a technique I've been toying with at home, wick watering. So to demonstrate this, I brought in a couple of my plants from home. This one is actually called Harlequin Lace. I didn't name it. And this one is called Dale's Polar Canary. I don't know why. So if you were going to try this at home, what you'd need was a container filled with a really light mix. This is in fact half perlite, so really quick draining because you don't want it to stay too soggy and rot the roots. And then you would need a thread made out of synthetic material because you don't want cotton, which prolonged exposure to water will just break it down. And then some kind of a reservoir to hold the water that's going to be drawn up to your plant. So I purchased this setup, but you can cheaply and easily make a reservoir at home. One of the best ways I've seen to do this is with a lidded plastic container, and you can reuse something like a yogurt container. I prefer something clear like a takeout container so you can see the water level easier. And then what you're gonna do is take the lid and either poke a hole to thread your string through, or cut a circle that's smaller than the rim of your plant's pot so that it will sit down in there like this one is. Now that's going to limit the amount of water you can put in your reservoir because you don't want it to touch the pot. You don't want the pot to sit in water. You're going to then fill it with water, thread a string through the bottom of the pot, which is going to be filled with a light mix, and you're good to go. So why would you do this? What's the advantage? Well, one is consistency of moisture. But obviously you're only going to do this for plants that want that. You don't want to do this with your cactus or anything that wants to dry out between waterings. And perhaps the biggest advantage is that you cannot have to water for potentially weeks on end, depending on the size of your reservoir. Now this is great if you're going away on a trip, or even if you're just lazy, like some people. So one other thing to remember is not to let the string totally dry out, because then it won't be able to carry the water up to the plant. It's a good idea to top up your reservoir before it gets totally empty and soak the string before starting a new pot. If you want to explore this more, if you want to look into the different methods, we're going to include some links and things in the description of this video. Before I go, I remembered we got an email this week. Thanks, Jeremy. Dear Austin, I've been enjoying your YouTube garden show. My question for you is, my indoor avocado tree has recently had many leaves turn brown and crispy and fall off. I grew it from a pit I planted 5 or 6 years ago, and I'm very worried about it. Any advice? Sincerely, Leafless in Longview. Hang in there, Leafless. I think I know what your problem is. It's humidity. I suspect this because winter air is drier, and then the heat lots of us are running in our homes dries the air out even more, so a lot of plants need a little help. There's a number of ways you can deal with this. You can place a dish of water next to the plant. The water will evaporate and it will raise the humidity in that immediate area. Or you could put a humidifier out, which will raise the humidity in a greater area and may even improve your skin. You can mist the leaves, and if a plant is particularly crispy, you can give it the terrarium treatment. Now, a friend of mine told me about this. Get a Rubbermaid style tote, lidded, clear plastic, place the plants inside, water them, spritz the leaves, make sure they're nice and moist, and then close the lid, place them in bright light, and let them enjoy that high humidity for a couple of days. Well, Leafless in Longview, thanks for reaching out. I hope these tips helped you. If anybody else has a garden topic or a question they'd like answered, they can send us an email at austinb@mylongview.com. Well, that's all for today. I'm Austin Brigden, this is Jeremy. We've got to grow, but we'll see you later in the Longview Library Garden.